This is still just plain black coffee, and I'm having a tough time with that this morning. I'm recording video number 2 today on this cold, chilly, rainy day. Day where it sure would be nice to have a heaping helping of some Lafroig or Lagavulin or Ardbeg in a fella's coffee cup. Sure would be nice. Ah, boy. So I want to talk about my favorite cursor options, and I know that there is some contention. I almost knocked my coffee over because I am apparently too sober to function. There is some contention about what the best cursor options are and why, and you should always use this and never use this. And I'm going to throw my hat in the ring. My favorite cursor options are local static, and there are very smart people out there like Erland Summerskog who agree with me. And I'm going to show you one of my reasons why I like the local static cursor better than other cursor types. But first, we have to go look at that other cursor type. So, this is the type of cursor that a lot of people will tell you to use, a local fast forward cursor. And if you look at the documentation for cursor options, you'll see that fast forward has some optimizations. Optimizations. What those optimizations are, we don't know. I don't know. I don't think they're documented. But one optimization about fast forward cursors that I heartily dislike is that when you run them, much like many other things in SQL Server, like scalar, well, inline scalar, non-inlined scalar valued functions, modifying table variables, reading from multi-statement table valued function table variables, accessing some system views, blah, 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 will force your entire query to run serially. Let's go take a look. So, with the fast forward cursor in place, we can see that this query plan up here is entirely serial, and it runs for just about 11.5 seconds. If I go look at the properties of this open cursor, right, something, again, I think I say this in a lot of videos when I'm talking about execution plans, one should always be looking at the properties window when they are looking at query plans. There is so much good, rich, detailed information in there about what is going on with your query. Without it, you would be lost. Sad babe in the woods. We can see immediately that there is a non-parallel plan reason. Now, why none of these things have spaces in them is a little bit beyond me. I'm not quite sure why. I understand that sometimes space bars stop working. You could probably just ask Microsoft's IT department for a new one. They probably have some spares sitting around. But anyway, we have a non-parallel plan reason that says no parallel fast-forward cursor, which is a bit of a departure from most non-parallel plan reasons. Most of the time, when you see a non-parallel plan reason, it'll either say max stop set to 1 or could not generate valid parallel plan. And could not generate valid parallel plan is an umbrella for a lot of things that we cannot have query parallelism for. Now, am I saying that parallel queries should always be used, or that they're the best, or that you should always strive to have a parallel query? No, of course not. And if we're being honest about the query that's running, there are probably some indexes that would help this thing run a lot faster, where you wouldn't notice a difference in the type of cursor that you are using. But not everyone is in a position where they can, change indexes or, tune queries or tune logic or any of that other stuff. And you might have a big honkin' crazy query that drives the initial result set of the cursor you're going to use. And you might not have too many options for tuning that. This is one thing where changing the cursor option can help you a little bit. So this query takes 11.5 seconds when it runs serially with the local and fast forward options assigned to the cursor. But over here, we have a query, or we have a cursor. We have a with my favorite cursor options, local static. And when we look at the query plan for local static, we can see that we do not have the same parallelism inhibitor going on that we did in the fast forward plan. We actually have parallel, 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 parallel up until we gather streams here, and this runs for about let's be fair, about 2.8 seconds. So we got about 12 seconds versus about 3 seconds, right? Okay, so about a 9-second difference in the query that drives the initial population of the cursor temp table doodad thingy. So kind of nice that you can but you know you should be careful with your cursors and all that, and you know I think cursors are a bit inevitable in some cases, and you know, well, you know, some people might watch this video and hiss because I'm talking about ways to tune a cursor rather than just getting rid of the cursor. Well, I mean, like, you know, what if I was going to take the results of this cursor? What if I was going to take ID, display name, and score, and what if I was going to feed those into a stored procedure, and I was going to have to run that stored procedure over a whole bunch of rows? Like, how else am I really going to do that? If I write a while loop, is it going to make a difference in how I call a stored procedure? If I dump those rows into a temp table, is it really going to be all that different than if I use a cursor to populate a static temporary object? No, it's not going to be all that different. So, you know, well, a lot of people will get mad about the cursor in general, and I understand why, because there are some very bad uses for cursors, and you know, I see them, and I got to help people with those kind of performance problems pretty often. But you know, if I had the choice between spending a long time tuning a cursor query and just changing the cursor option, and you know, saving 9 seconds right off the bat, you know, if I'm in a hustle, if I'm trying to, like, you know, really get some stuff done, I might just go with the different cursor options to move things along. Maybe get to something else that's you know, a performance bump in the night for something I'm trying to tune. Anyway, the moral of the story is, don't use cursors if you don't have to, but if you have to, or if you're stuck with them for some other reason, choose the cursor. Look at your cursor options carefully. Don't just jump right to the fast forward cursor. It can, you know, do some performance testing. You know, run the query inside the cursor and see how it goes, and then run the query inside the cursor and see if you get the same execution plan, see if you get the same time, the same performance metrics. Because, you know, if you run the query, then, you know, you don't use outside of the cursor, and you get a nice parallel plan, and everything's fast, and then you put it in the cursor, and it takes 20 minutes. You're gonna be like, oh, this damn cursor. But it's you. It's your fault. You chose the wrong cursor options. Don't blame the cursor. Blame the you. That's it. Anyway, I'm going to go now. I'm going to go invest in Scotland and have a nice day. So thanks for watching. I hope you learned something. I hope that you enjoyed yourself, maybe. And I will see you in another video, maybe even another one today. I don't know. I don't know where today may take me. And if I'm feeling proper Scottish, I might feel very recordy today. I don't know. We'll see. It's a surprise for everyone. Anyway, thank you, and I will see you in another video where maybe I'll still be able to stand up. Goodbye.